No, this is my first ever attempt to make a video recording or a video presentation to put on YouTube. And I have to tell you, I'm not quite sure how to do it, but I'll give it a bash. This is for positions teaching English in Istanbul, and they want me to talk about my background, education, and so on and so on. Well, I think you probably have my CV already. I've spent 30 years teaching in the Middle East and Hong Kong, and indeed in Istanbul for 3 years with the ITBA, which was the British Council's. Uh, how would you describe it? I don't know. We didn't. The the British Council wasn't allowed to operate in Turkey at that time. I don't know if it is now. That was in Nishantasha. I had a whale of a time there. My son was born there. I've often thought of going back. I've sometimes thought it was a mistake to leave it, but I needed money, so I went to Saudi Arabia initially, and then to Hong Kong, where I taught in a secondary school for 6 years. Uh, During the last days of the British control of Hong Kong, then I went back to Saudi Arabia because of financial commitments of one kind or another. Now, my son, who was born in Istanbul, is 27, and I don't need to support him anymore. The mortgage in this fine flat you see right behind me is paid, and I would like to come back to Istanbul. Now, what else do they want to know? Ideas on classroom management? Well, I've been doing this for 30 years. I think so long as you're friendly, you get a good response. Teamwork is important amongst the students. The strong ones help the weak ones, hopefully. The weak ones often show the strong ones where they could be stronger. What else? Ideas on classroom management. Managing 20 to 25 students. Well, I've managed 100 students. Crowd control. I've got a good loud voice, which is a big help. Handling spoiler students. Now, there's a good question. Um, my first ever job in teaching was with the King's School in Riyadh, in Islam, in Saudi Arabia, where I taught the most appalling spoilt brats you've ever met in your life. My colleagues were largely former army officers in the Syrian and Egyptian armies who kept them under control by beating them with a good thick stick. Uh, I used to send them to these guys, the mushrifs, until I learned how to handle them myself without beating them. Uh, well, I mean, it's mind over matter to a large extent. Uh, it's not going to happen after the age of 15 or 16, probably. The younger ones, if they're causing trouble, are likely to be bored. So you pick up on the signs that they're bored and hopefully, um, I don't know, give yourself a kick in the backside as much as anything else. How do you control students generally speaking? Well, as I say, I spent 6 years in Hong Kong teaching secondary schools. Every secondary school students, everything from 12-year-olds to university entrance. Hong Kong is perhaps unusual in that because of the Chinese traditional respect for teachers and education in general, there was never a problem with discipline. I was initially surprised to walk into a classroom and have 40 of them stand up and bow and in unison address me, "Good morning, Mr. Bloss." like that. And I thought that they were taking the mickey. But no, no, this was ingrained that they respected the teacher. Uh, so, as I say, I've had um, experience of both situations. Spoilt Saudi princes and sons of government ministers versus impoverished Hong Kong children who, whether their parents were rich or poor, went to the same government school because that was the best school in the area, um, and who cooperated. And I only encouraged them to do what they would have done anyway. So I think that's all I've got to say for the moment. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and meanwhile, I'll stop here and look forward to hearing from you. Now let's see if I can turn this off.